you ever hear about a car so wild you can't believe it actually existed? The 90s were full of those. Cars built by dreamers, mad scientists, and companies you've never even heard of. They came fast, burned bright, and disappeared before the world even knew what hit it. Let's rewind to the decade when everyone thought Ferrari and Lamborghini ruled the world. But in reality, a handful of forgotten legends were quietly rewriting what supercar even meant. Venturi 400 GT, France's carbon brake pioneer. France isn't the first country you think of when someone says supercar. But in 1994, Venturi dropped the 400 GT, a machine that could punch above its weight and then some. It was the kind of car that made you stop and wonder how something so fast, so advanced, came from a company most people couldn't even pronounce right. It had everything going for it. Twin turbos, a mid-engine layout, rear-wheel drive, and a silhouette that looked like it had come straight off a racetrack. It was sculpted for speed, not show, the kind of design that whispered, "I belong in Le Mans." But the real flex, it was the first production car ever to come standard with carbon ceramic brakes. Yup, before Ferrari, before Porsche, a tiny French outfit beat them all to it. Only about 15 road cars were ever made, and each one felt like a handmade rebellion. When you drove one, it didn't just accelerate, it attacked the road. The throttle lag hit you like a slap, the turbos screamed like they were angry at physics, and the steering wheel vibrated like it was alive in your hands. It wasn't a car you drove casually, it was a car that demanded respect, the kind that tested your focus every second. Venturi built it to prove that France could go toe-to-toe with Europe's elite, and for a brief moment they did. It had the power to keep up with a Ferrari F40 and the innovation to make engineers double-take. But the world wasn't watching. The company didn't have the marketing muscle or the global network to sell dreams the way Italy or Germany could. So the 400 GT lived fast, died young, and vanished just as quickly as it arrived, a forgotten genius from the wrong zip code. And if you ever see one today sitting quietly in a collector's garage, know this: it wasn't just fast. It was France's one true shot at supercar immortality. Jaguar XJR-15, the Le Mans car you could drive home. If the Venturi was quiet ambition, Jaguar's XJR-15 was a full-blown war cry. Built by Tom Walkinshaw Racing, this thing was literally a Le Mans-winning Jaguar XJR-9, only this time with number plates. Its entire body was carbon fiber, making it the first road car ever made completely from the stuff. It looked like a stealth jet with headlights. Inside, it was Spartan. 2 carbon seats, a tiny wheel, and the faint smell of race fuel. The 6-liter V12 engine growled like thunder in a tunnel, and every gear change felt like a punch to the chest. It was beautiful, brutal, and utterly uncompromising. The kind of car that didn't care about comfort, only glory. When you parked it next to a Ferrari F40, it didn't look out of place. It looked ready to eat it alive. And yet, only 50-odd people ever owned one. Because in the early 90s, no one was ready for a street-legal race car that felt like a ticking bomb. Cizeta V16T, the Italian madness of 16 cylinders. Leave it to the Italians to look at a V12 and say, not enough. The Cizeta V16T was the fever dream of a man named Claudio Zampoli and a music producer you might know, Giorgio Moroder. Yes, the disco guy. Together, they built a car that looked like it drove straight out of a Blade Runner chase scene. It had a 16-cylinder engine, literally 2 V8s welded together. The thing sat sideways behind the driver like a mechanical sculpture, and when it fired up, it sounded like an orchestra losing its mind. It made over 500 horsepower in the late 80s, and hit 0 to 60 in around 4 seconds. Marcello Gandini, the same genius who designed the Lamborghini Countach, penned its shape. Sharp, alien, unapologetically Italian. But the world wasn't ready for a $600,000 supercar built by a startup. Only a dozen or so were ever made. The Cizeta was too bold, too loud, too everything. And that's exactly why it's unforgettable. Vector M12, America's wild Italian experiment. Now picture this, an American supercar built on a Lamborghini chassis. That was the Vector M12, a machine born from boardroom chaos, corporate takeovers, and pure ego. It wasn't just a car, it was a power struggle on 4 wheels. Designed in California but built in Italy, it was what happened when 2 worlds collided. American ambition and Italian drama, all wrapped in a body that looked like it belonged in a science fiction movie. After an American company called I was hijacked by a Malaysian firm that also owned Lamborghini, they decided to mash up designs like a Frankenstein project. The result? An American body on an Italian soul, a car that looked like it was sculpted by a fighter jet designer who just quit NASA. The M12 used Lamborghini's 5.7-liter V12 engine, the same heart that powered the Diablo, but crammed it into Vector's wild, wedge-shaped frame. From the front, it looked like a spaceship ready for takeoff. From the rear, like it was built to outrun gravity itself. When it roared to life, it didn't sound like a car, it sounded like an argument between thunder and machinery. But there was one small problem. Driving it felt like piloting a warplane on roller skates. The handling was unpredictable, the heat inside could bake cookies, and the clutch was a gym workout disguised as a pedal. The craftsmanship? Let's just say prototype energy was an understatement. Yet beneath all the quirks, there was passion. The kind of unfiltered, borderline reckless creativity that only the 90s could produce. Only 17 were ever built, and just 14 of those were actual production cars. But here's the thing, it deserves respect. The M12 wasn't perfect, but it dared to exist. In a decade where American cars were boxy, slow, and uninspired, Vector tried to build an alien. And even though it crashed harder than it flew, it proved one thing. Sometimes ambition itself is the most powerful engine you can have. Lister Storm, the British V12 brawler. If the Vector was chaos, the Lister Storm was pure horsepower discipline. No marketing fluff, no celebrity endorsements, just a British engineering team with an unshakable belief that more was always the answer. It packed a 7-liter Jaguar XJR-15, the largest engine ever squeezed into a road car since World War II. That's not just a stat. That's the kind of engine that could tow a jet if it wanted to. The sound it made wasn't a roar. It was a deep, chest-rattling boom, the kind that made nearby birds reconsider their life choices. When you floored it, the world around you didn't blur. It shook. The Lister Storm didn't bother with elegance or refinement. It had no interest in impressing dinner guests or magazine reviewers. It was built with a singular purpose: destroy racetracks and humiliate anything brave enough to line up next to it. The body looked like it was carved out of solid determination, wide, muscular, and permanently scowling. Its creators wanted domination in GT racing, and that's exactly what they chased. The Storm was a track car that accidentally got registered for road use, a loophole that let a monster wear a suit. Behind the wheel, you didn't just drive it, you wrestled it. The steering was heavy, the clutch was brutal, and every shift felt like it could crack concrete. Only 4 road-legal versions were ever sold. 4. That's not a production run. That's a secret club for people who found Ferraris too civilized and Lamborghinis too tame. The Lister Storm wasn't about fame, luxury, or beauty. It was about proving that sometimes power is personality, and this car had enough of it to last a lifetime. Ferrari 456 GT, the quiet one from Maranello. Now you can't talk about the 90s without a Ferrari sneaking in, but this one's not what you think. While everyone drooled over the F40 and the F50, Ferrari quietly built a car for grown-ups, the 456 GT. It wasn't about drama, flames, or posters on a teenager's wall. It was about power wrapped in a tuxedo. Under that long, graceful nose sat a 5.5-liter V12 that made 436 horsepower. No turbos, no gimmicks, just raw, effortless grunt. It was Ferrari's way of saying, we can make a grand tourer that's as fast as it is civilized. It looked calm, confident, like the guy who walks into a room and doesn't need to say a word. Pop-up headlights, perfect proportions, and a soundtrack that could make angels jealous. The 456 did 309 kilometers per hour, making it the second fastest 4-seater of its time. Yet, it's almost never mentioned in the same breath as the Testarossa or the F355. Maybe because it was too refined for the chaos of the 90s, maybe because it didn't need to scream to be brilliant. Either way, it's the Ferrari that never got the fame it deserved, the one that whispered speed instead of shouting it. The Isdera Commendatore 112i, Germany's lost supercar. And then, there's this, the Isdera Commendatore 112i, a car so rare that most people don't even believe it was real. Picture this, Germany, 1993. A tiny company called Isdera builds a supercar by hand. No big team, no corporate backing, just one man's obsession with perfection. It was named Commendatore as a tribute to Enzo Ferrari himself, and it looked like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. The body was low and curved like liquid metal, with a roof-mounted periscope mirror instead of regular side mirrors, because apparently normal was too boring. Under the hood was a Mercedes-Benz 512 pushing around 400 horsepower, hand-built and tuned for sheer balance and speed. Every nut and bolt was crafted like it belonged in a Swiss watch. But money ran out before production could begin. Only one prototype was ever completed. Years later, it was revived by a Swiss collector under the name Silver Arrow C112i and upgraded to over 600 horsepower. Yet, for most people, the Isdera never existed, a ghost car from Germany that was too beautiful to survive. It's the kind of car that makes you pause and think, what if they'd actually built it? Would the world remember Isdera the way it remembers Pagani today? When you look back at the 90s, you realize something wild. It wasn't just Ferrari, Lamborghini, or McLaren dominating the headlines. It was a battle of mad inventors, tiny companies, and artists who refused to color inside the lines. Each of these 7 cars was a gamble on the future. Venturi proved France could build a supercar. Jaguar made a Le Mans monster you could legally drive. Cizeta tried to out-engineer physics. Vector mixed Hollywood with Detroit. Lister crammed a war engine into a 2-door. Ferrari showed restraint could still roar. And Isdera built a dream so perfect that it never needed a second chance. Most of them failed financially, but creatively, they were untouchable. They represented a time when car builders didn't ask for permission, they just went for it. So, next time you see a modern supercar wrapped in algorithms and safety modes, remember the 90s. The era when power was raw, mistakes were expensive, and innovation was personal. And if you could bring one of these forgotten beasts back to life, just one, which would you choose? Because some legends deserve a second run. If you love this ride through automotive history, hit that button, drop your favorite car below, and let's see which of these ghosts makes a comeback.